Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. Alright. So I did my thing, got what I needed except for the socks. Believe it or not, I went to Marshall's and they didn't have them. Same place I bought them from these last couple times. It did not sell them this time. I don't know if they're seasonal or what, but I'll be continuing my search for the socks. But I got everything else, something to clean the bathtub with for sure. That was the most important of it all. But, did my little hill climbing thing. Didn't have it today as far as my energy is concerned. I'm exhausted physically. My mind is pretty strong, but my legs feel like they're not giving the same push as they usually do. I don't know what that's about. Some days you just have it, some days it's more like a recovery day. This feels like it should have been a recovery day. But I didn't do anything yesterday, so I'm not really sure. But whatever the case may be, I'm just pushing through it regardless. And yeah, man. If anything, I just proud of myself for doing so. There were days in the past where I wouldn't want to do nothing today. I'd have skipped walking the hills and all that. And I definitely felt mind over matter as it pertains to that today. So got that done, and now walking back and hoping that this walk will prompt me to feel a bit stronger by the end of it. Figured I'd turn on the camera and just yap. Whatever comes out as usual comes out. But yeah, man. Paying attention to different things. We talked about a lot on the way here. I thought that was a pretty good video I made. Looking forward to seeing it when I get home. But you know, my mindset is just paying attention to what's going on and all over the world, man. Stuff that's in my phone. Gaza, Diddy in the trial. I haven't looked at anything since the last time we talked in regards to either of those subjects, but well, a little bit of Gaza stuff actually, but it's just same old stuff. ADL essentially is saying, the Anti-Defamation League, the pro-Zionist league basically, is essentially saying all anti-Zionists, they want to be banned from social media. I mean, it's just like, yo, are we serious? Like, I can't force the world to not see the truth that you refuse to stare at. That's what these delusional monsters are actually trying to accomplish with all of their power and their wealth. They're trying to force all of us into basically supporting their genocide. It's freaking genocide. No one in their right mind is going to support you. You can't, by all ways of controlling so much, force us into supporting the slaughtering of an entire race of people. This is a world that has overcome a lot of that. You ever heard of Martin Luther King? You ever heard of Malcolm X? Ever heard of Mahatma Gandhi? Even though it's rumors that he had some tendencies early in his life. People who've kind of brought us about to a space where we all genuinely respect the aspiration of equality and humanity. We aspire, at least in the light. What people do in the dark in their own hearts is obviously theirs and theirs alone. But in the presence of like business and world, and when we're out and about, most of us who love ourselves generally want people to, you know, see us as strivers toward equality. Okay? That's the world you're in, Zionists. That's the world you're in. The world you have control over is conditioned to believe that while everyone's looking, we should all be striving for equality. What you're trying to do to that people, that generation of individuals, is make them okay with apartheid and racism and slaughtering of others. And if we're going to do that, this is what the Anti-Defamation League and all the Zionist monsters out there need to understand. If we're going to do that, it's going to deteriorate relations in our various societies. Our Western world societies that are striving to live amongst one another as we all strive to reach the top of our capitalistic totem poles. If we start adapting to the being okay with apartheid energy, all of the civil rights stuff that we spent generations trying to accomplish, in solidarity with one another for all of our differences, gets deteriorated by the co-signing of your bullshit. What part of that is not being understood by you monsters? That's what I'm trying to figure out. There are going to be a lot of people who agree with your bullcrap because they're racist, because they're elitists, because they don't believe in anything good outside of their own communities. That's a minority of individuals who want to stand in that space and think that it's actually going to bring them about anything that would otherwise be respected. They're only respected in their own circles. They're not respected in the world outside of their circles. They're looked at as weirdos. They're looked at as people that don't want business done with them. People who are bad for PR. People who ultimately are to be outcasted. People you don't sit with at the lunch table. That's who you're trying to turn us all into a space where we look at you and say, it's okay for you to do that because you're the chosen ones and you're better than all of us and we're all goy in your world, and so therefore you are due some rights that the rest of us shouldn't even ask for. But for the rest of us, we should still continue to strive for equality, except for in the presence of you, of whom we will never be equal to, and whoever your enemies are, you can treat them in the ways that we ultimately shun one another for treating one another. That's just not real. There is no such thing as being able to manipulate things that one can amass when gaining power, control over, in order to force that opinion upon people who've been conditioned this way. You can't. It's not possible. You might as well wait for pigs to grow wings and fly away. So in the presence of trying to make us all just acquiesce to this, that for which we wouldn't agree with amongst any of us, things that we fought and died for more or less over the course of generations in this country. Slavery and all these different things that come about from agreeing to treat people the way that the Zionists agree to treat the Palestinians. Everything in regards to our race relations and our social structures and how we're able to stand amongst one another without literally trying to kill one another, all of that deteriorates. That's what these Zionists need to really, really understand. I know they're out of touch and they're like delusional and psychopathic and all these different type of energies that embody their ideology. But at some point in time, the lies that they agree to has to beat the world that they're in. Those two worlds have to collide. And when they do, you see this bullshit. Where they're trying to shun people for the same thing that we fought and died for over the course of generations in this country. And other countries have as well. So that white people and black people and brown people, people who've done enough to one another already, but have found a way to get along one another, can do so. And you want us to deteriorate that so you can go about killing people? What type of example does that show the rest of us in regards to having to live amongst one another? Having to stay off each other's backside. Do you know how many politics deteriorate from adapting to the mentality that you're demanding that we do? The world that you think you control, it deteriorates. All the business things that you think you hold together, they fall apart. People stop agreeing to honor one another's respect anymore if we start agreeing to do what it is you're doing to those people. This is what I'm saying. They ain't thought this out. They're working in deep devilish confusion and ancient ideas about who they are and what they're due toward. And as a result of that, they're betraying the very essence that keeps the world from destroying itself. That's why it's so important that the rest of us sane individuals stop rolling with the Zionists just because they control everything, because they're going to have us on top of each other again. They're going to have our kids killing each other in front of us. As we're elderly people watching it happen, our grandkids and great-grandkids are going to be killing each other while we're sitting back holding our canes wishing that we didn't allow these assholes to take over the world. I'm sorry, man. At some point in time, You weird sex old freaks who are allowing these bastards to hold you by the balls need to understand what it is that you're allowing to happen while you keep your little sex secrets in house, doing whatever it is they tell you to do. This is what you're putting at risk. Freaking weirdos, man. And that's what it really comes down to. A bunch of weirdo politicians with sex secrets, acquiescing to these monsters as they send us into the damn Stone Ages. If somebody doesn't do something about this, that's exactly where we're headed. And all of it's going to be on camera with all these damn devices we all got. There's not going to be one race war. It's going to be a million race wars. Everybody on top of everybody if we follow these Zionists down this path. Think about it. Think about what they're doing. They're starving people. They're starving children. And they're demanding all of us get along with that idea as we, I guess, get along with one another while not doing that shit to one another. It doesn't, like, what? And I just get to wake up one day and say, yo, these people are a threat to me. Let me kill their kids. Like, if I'm following the Zionist ideology down the path that Israel wants us to go, then damn it, I need to wake up and just start doing weird shit to people that I think may be an enemy to me, right? Like, let's assess this shit as we look at it for what it is. I'm a black person. My people were enslaved by white people for 400 years. Is it not logical for me to start looking at these people like they're my threats if I'm going to follow the Zionists down this path? Like honestly. And if I follow Zionists, what am I doing to y'all? What type of threat are you actually in the presence of if I start thinking like this? At some point in time, we just got to start asking ourselves these questions, because a lot of things that we've worked very hard, very, very hard to work into our everyday equation so that we wouldn't be on top of each other's skulls, so that we can do business with one another, is stuff that they're telling us to ignore, deteriorate our ideologies about how we're supposed to be able to live amongst one another, so that their little hat asses can kill people and not have any trouble with the process. I'm sorry, man, but at some point in time, the adults need to enter the room and say, yo, we do want to have control over the Middle East as a country. We do want to be able to use the ports that can only be created by taking over Gaza. But what deteriorates so that we can have it? Okay, what deteriorates? What is it going to cost us? You know that famous part of the movie that everybody loves, the Marvel flick, where Thanos talks about how he got everything, he got all the power, but then that person asks him, what does it cost you? And he says, everything. That's what this U.S. control over the Middle East is going to cost us. Every damn thing. You're going to be spending money trying to put out fires in your own land that you gain from whatever it is you put forth all of this bullshit toward creating. Most of you people are going to be forced to live in Israel. Israel going to be overrun with asshole Americans, because it's going to be overrun after the fact we destroy this thing. The poor is going to destroy this thing. That's what's going to end up happening to it. And all the rich are going to flee to places where they're not going to be welcome. That's what the future holds for a lot of you 1%ers. You're going to be fleeing to places where you're not welcome. You're going to be trying to have your money buy you into places that it's going to cost 7 and 8 times to secure, to keep yourselves alive in these places. That's what's about to happen to a lot of you morons. Because you would have deteriorated the land that ultimately you were in control of. Deteriorated the Western world and your little capitalism and all these different things that y'all believe in. It didn't keep people from killing each other out of sheer spite. Because we let the Zionists carry us down a path where we would ignore all of the different things that we fought so hard to put together. I, for one, don't know if it's worth it. So that you can have ports and shit funneled bullshit back and forth for the next 200 years in the Middle East. I'm sorry. I'm not sure it's going to be worth destroying the land that ultimately you represent. And that's what you're letting the Zionists welcome us into. And by way of that demonic energy, that's exactly what it's functioned to do. But y'all, because y'all don't believe in no spirituality, or so spiritually bankrupt and spiritually poor, you don't see that path. You just see the collection of money and the collection of power in the moment you're in, and you don't realize that you're going to destroy everything you represent trying to build whatever it is you're trying to build over there. Wisdom is lacking in this era that we're in. These people worship money, but they have no sense of wisdom. They got no sense of what is going to make it so that what they have doesn't deteriorate over time. They're too busy focused on right now and what they want to build right now. Our children are going to be hurting each other because of us, because of this crap that we try to normalize so that we can acquiesce to these crazed monsters that are ultimately interested in destroying the world, one apartheid processes after another. I'm sorry, man. At some point in time, we got to start asking, what does this mean for the rest of us? Has anybody ever asked what the Zionist end game actually is for the rest of us? Because when you start digging to the root of what it is that they're ultimately planning, it's having the people who are not Jewish as their slaves. That's their end game for all of you great Americans who are standing with Israel. The end game is for us to destroy one another, and for the lot of us who are actually able to survive that, serve these monsters. And being against that, I guess, makes you equivalent to being someone who calls me the N-word or some weird shit that they're on. If you let the bad guy tell the story, he's always going to tell it to fit himself. He's always going to tell it to make it look like he's a good guy, no matter how bad he is. The worse he is, the better he's going to describe how good he is and how awful those who are trying to hold him accountable for his evil acts actually are. I'm sorry, man, but this shit don't work. I understand y'all don't give a damn about human beings. It's a discardable generation, this, that, and the third, but I promise you, it doesn't work. Where do you get your soldiers from? You get the soldiers from stable lands. Stable lands. These kids that go to be in your army, your navy, a lot of them come from lands that are not run down by war. They're coming out of high schools and colleges and they're coming from stable spaces. That's why you control them so well. Because they're raised by good old American households. If you destroy the households, where are you getting your soldiers from? How well are you going to be able to train and control these people if they come in crazy and already war-torn? This is why I'm saying, yo, if y'all can't see several steps ahead, even y'all who call yourself the smartest and the most powerful are going to be blindsided by the consequences of what it is you upheld here. You can't let people like this lead you down to places like where you're headed, man. I deeply understand what you're trying to do. I've been paying attention to this thing for 2 years. I've been watching this. I understand what a lot of y'all fear. I understand a lot of y'all don't see any horse in the race because you have white skin and you could care less about black people. You're scared of them any damn way. You don't think much of brown people. You believe the hype. All these different things. If the world is white, you feel safer. All that bullshit. I understand you, man. These ideologies that I understand, they fail you. Half of them are riddled with lies. It's not even true. They're not even well thought out. They don't even tell you what happens when it's just you. You just fear us and believe the hype so much about us that you've allowed yourself to go down a path where you think you don't need us. And then you start finding out you can't rid yourself of us. And then you start finding out that we start understanding that over time. And what happens then? You don't know. You ain't thinking that far ahead. You're just stupid and racist. That's the problem. Stupid and racist. And following granddaddy down the path where you believe that he was wise for being on. And he was stupid and racist. And I'm telling y'all, it ain't just black and white here, man. It's a lot of people here that ain't got no horse in the race in regards to our stupid racism. They ain't got no horse in the race in regards to happening to any of us. And are more than ready to pick up the pieces for what it is we dropped by deteriorating in front of their very eyes. You're going to be in the United States of China soon. United States of something else. Because it's going to be those who are not stupid that pick up everything that we drop in the wars that we're going to be creating. It ain't going to be Israel. Israel's not going to be safe nowhere. Them people, they don't even have a home. That's the point. They're trying to steal somebody else's. They don't have a home. They're surrounded, literally, by brown people that they cannot trust, that they think they have by the balls because of money, which is not as stable as they think. Not as stable as they think. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of brown people in the Middle East who are aligning with this because it's in their best interest, based on how they're politically aligned and how they're set in their puzzle pieces, to let Israel do whatever it wants to do. But do not think for 1 second these people can be trusted if you're Israel. They don't like you. They don't like you. They know you're not from there. They understand you've amassed massive amounts of power, and guess what they respect? Power. They want it. You can't trust them. Just like we can't trust them. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So when it's in their best interest to close in on you, they're going to close in on you. Your little Israel that you're trying to build, it goes away. You're surrounded. And what you think holds these people doesn't hold them. Not long term. Their society's old. They've been walking around these same lands since biblical times. They're not going to let it get overrun by rights. That's what I want to tell y'all who don't understand this. Because you think that because today they're aligning with you and what it is you're trying to do in annihilating their brothers, that they're going to let you annihilate them afterward. Or that they're just going to let you take over that land entirely and not let it be a problem. It's going to be a problem. That's what I'm saying. Like that, none of this is real. A lot of what Zionists are trying to follow are lies and things that are not necessarily as they see it to be. It ain't that. It's not what you think, and that's what I'm telling. And their plan is to take over now, and then when they have it now, then they're gonna just, I guess it's happily ever after. Happily ever after. Just like a little girl who finds a really good-looking, horrible human being. Once she gets him, it's happily ever after. You know what happily ever after means? A divorce, her getting slapped around, him cheating all the damn time. She doesn't know that shit because she got the guy of her dreams. But he ain't shit. That's what Israel's after. The guy of their dreams. And you know what it is? Ain't what they think at all. Ain't what they think at all. And we're letting them lead us because they have it all. As if they can't lose it all. As if they're not doing things that are going to make it so that they lose it all. This is stupid. This is stupid, y'all. At some point in time, we just got to look at those who are compromised by Israel in whatever way, shape, and form, and just say, yo, we're all idiots for letting these compromised individuals lead us down a path that these lost individuals are taking us. At some point in time, we got to say, yo, we know you're a bunch of sex freaks. Go to The Hague. Get all these idiots that want to wave the blue star flag all over the place, the hell out of our government situation, so that we can actually lead ourselves past this century without being on top of each other's heads, following them down this path of apartheid. At some point in time, we have to start saying this. Whether you agree that brown people should be off the earth or not, whether you give a damn about little kids or not. At some point in time, you got to realize, yo, your little happy, safe little house, your little happy, safe life that you're used to, that is what's at risk when you follow unwise individuals down a path where they destroy people and create enemies everywhere they look. Look around. They can't go nowhere. Israelis can't go nowhere without being shunned right now. Right now. It's only been 2 years. And a good portion of the society that's around them doesn't even know what they've done. It's a small amount of people that are aware of this genocide. Most of us don't even know. When the word spreads and the footage starts hitting people like Super Bowl numbers, like Oscars numbers, when it's more than known what it is I know in the average person's brain, then you're going to start seeing what really falls out from following these morons. And if you are a Zionist, boy, oh boy, are you following some stupid ideology, friends. This shit has holes through every bit of it. And you're counting on something that is not stable to uphold what you have as power. It's not stable. And you are too out of touch to fully behold this reality. You don't know what you need to know what it is I'm telling you, apparently. But what I'm telling you is, ain't no part of this able to stay stable if we follow you down the path that you're on. It don't stay stable. You can't commit genocide in front of an entire people and expect them to say, well, I mean, I'm not going to behave this way with my enemies. When we see you getting away with it. It doesn't work. It does not work. And I'm trying to tell you, and I know a lot of y'all are in y'all deep ideologies about the mental capacity of African people and African American people are going to look at what I'm saying and say, look at that stupid N-word. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That is a deterioration of your evolution in surmising what it is you see in me as I tell you the truth. That is your shortcoming. Not a reflection of the reality of what it is, of the validity of what it is that I'm sharing with you. That you can't behold me to be intelligent enough to tell you the truth about what it is that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing is a reflection of your own mistakenness and pointed in yet another direction. Just like the devil wants you to be confused and mistaken about everything you think you control. Because I can hear that in a lot of minds of racist people. They will write me off because it's a black mouth speaking. Boy, are you stupid for that. That's not intelligent. It's unwise, just like the shit that you uphold. And it's going to lead to your deterioration. Shunning what comes out of a person's mouth because of the color of their skin will lead to your deterioration in a lot of cases. Though some people should not be listened to regardless of what color they may or may not be. But when it comes to apartheid, when it comes to what is inspired by treating people poorly, I think I know a little something about that. I think I'm a little more qualified than maybe some others to tell you, yo, this is what happens when you treat people that way. This is what happens when you discard individuals. This is what happens when you separate families and write it in the law that it's fine to do so. And in training black people, like the white supremacy has, to be friends with it after what it did to us for 400 years, was something that was only possible because social media wasn't present. I'm just being honest with you. If social media was around in the 1400s, where people could communicate outside of the lands they were in, with people they don't know, and share information and understanding, this wouldn't have went that way. A lot of what it is that y'all got away with only was present because there was nothing in place to keep us together. So if you think you're gonna train us from here to align with what it is that you ultimately know we all should fear, good luck doing it while the lights are on. I'm telling you, man, if y'all been following me, you'll know how passionate I am about this. We done had so many different tones spoken into this camera in regards to this subject. I don't expect to be remembered for this. I don't expect anybody to know me while I'm alive for doing this. I'm not looking for applause or none of that. None of it. I don't need nobody to know I stood for Palestine. All the days of my life, I don't need a single soul to know that but the people who follow me. But you best believe I stood. You best believe I stand. You don't get to do what they did in the presence of a person of God, an actual person of God. Not someone chosen by God necessarily, though I may have been. I'm not cognizant of that. But just as someone who cares about God, who actually wants to see him pleased with himself for creating me. You're not going to be able to commit genocide in my presence and not have me be passionate about holding you accountable and teaching others how not to follow the path you went down. I love God too much to betray him like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm not waiting for my fellow man or my fellow citizen to tell me that that's what I'm doing by being silent. Because I have a relationship with him at this point that I've invested in, as we talk about every day. I understand God. I don't need to understand you. I understand him. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have to understand you. I don't have to align with you. Not if I have a relationship with him. He done taught me what it is that he expects from me and what he doesn't. What he respects within me and what he doesn't. In a world that I spent mostly by myself, I know him. So I don't ever feel lonely. And I'm telling all of you, while y'all influenced by one another, you need to get to know that guy. While y'all trying to please one another and acquiesce to one another and hide from what being held accountable for whatever you did to one another, you need to get to know that guy. If you got to know that guy, you wouldn't be worried about the things you're worried about, and more so you'd be worried about not pissing him off any further than you already have, just like myself. Too influenced by money and people and all the different things that come from that, man, that stuff ain't nothing, bro. I'm telling you, it ain't nothing. Because when this life is over, and it's going to end for each and every one of us, all we're going to be left in the room with is us and him. And if you don't know him and you ain't did nothing but anger him, believe me, that ain't going to be a long conversation. And you're going to be copping all types of pleas and all different types of stuff. You're going to be pledging all types of allegiance. Maybe he give it to you, maybe he don't. It's at his discretion. But at the end of the day, did you stand for something? Or did you just stand to make your money? The question is, if you stood to make your money, did you give any to people who needed it? Did you help anybody with your ill-gotten gain? Or did you just feed your demons? Because that maybe you could help you some. You spent your life trying to feed your demons and live up to your sexual fantasies like Puffy and them. Did you give enough on the back end of that? Did you stand when it was time to? Because it's not too late if you're still around. But if you're not around no more and you're in that room, that judgment day room, it ain't going to necessarily be about how much power did you amass in the presence of people fearing you. God ain't going to be interested in none of that. You ain't about to inflict no fear upon him. You ain't going to be able to buy your way out of that. You could try. I wouldn't lowball him I wouldn't. I don't think handing him a 20 is going to get it done. He ain't going to be sitting here saying, did you get my name right? You know what I mean? Because that's what a lot of us are worried about, structuring ourselves in a position to follow whatever religion down the path of whatever it takes us. Did you get his name right? He didn't tell you what his name was, so he didn't obviously think you would get it right. A lot of y'all think y'all going to structure your way to heaven by way of following down a certain path of uniform religious energy. I promise you. A lot of that stuff don't hold nearly as much weight. It's just being a decent human being does. There's something in Christianity that we follow that says the only way you're going to get to heaven is through Christ. What they don't tell you is that Christ is at the gate. He's at the gate. That's what I want to tell all my Christian friends. He's at the gate. You ain't getting through there without meeting him anyway. And he already knows you, so it ain't like you got to sit there and explain yourself to him, tell him your life story. He was right there next to you. You don't have to do as much as people think. It's essentially what I'm telling you. Being a decent person is more important. Because a lot of people follow Christianity down a path of shunning people who need help away so that they can follow the religion. When they get to the gates of heaven, Jesus is going to be standing right there. So if you didn't know him, he's going to get to know you there. He's going to walk you in. If you're a decent human being, he's going to walk you in. He's going to shake your hand and walk you in. That is the salvation. You don't have to work for that. That's the point. See, Christianity has it wrong in a lot of cases when we start teaching people these things, because we end up teaching people that they needed to understand Jesus Christ on earth in order to get into heaven. No, he's at the gate. You didn't have to know him at all throughout life. You just had to follow the decency in your heart and did your best to follow a living God. You didn't have to have his name right. You didn't have to know him all the way through life. You may not even live that long to even experience Christ. He's at the gate. That's why I don't follow my religion down a path of shunning other people for being in different religions, because I already know he's at the gate. And if I'm loving the way he taught me to love, then I'm going to be the guy that walks my friend to the gate to meet him before I go through the gate my selfish self. You think I'm going to let my Muslim friend who stood by me when I was going through my most darkest time stand outside of heaven as I go on in because I knew Jesus Christ throughout the course of my life? If I knew Jesus Christ and my friend knew Jesus Christ, whether he knew him cognizantly or was subconscious to understand that he would love the man when he met him at the gate. It's your heart that matters, man. It's your unselfishness and your willingness to give that matters more than you proving to the rest of us that you have a relationship with God. That relationship is between you and God. It's not between me, my understanding, you and God. It's just you and him. I don't have to be satisfied with your religion, your relationship, your religion, or none of that. But I can promise you, if you say you knew Christ, but then all you did was shun people who needed your help, and say you did it in the name of Christ, you were hurting people and pushing people away and turning people away for their differences and judging people's sins like you God, and then walk around and say you're a Christian, you're a Jesus Christ lover, man, you don't know Christ no more than that person that doesn't know him. You're just walking around in a uniform, making other people next to you happy and comfortable in your presence as they demand that you have a relationship with God, because that's what it is they know how to do. A relationship ain't got nothing to do with them, just like your relationship ain't got nothing to do with me. And following Christ is not about calling out somebody's name. It's about following the interests of the Spirit that he taught, which was treat people right, whether you agree with him or not. Whether you think God is mad at them for their practices or not. If you knew Christ, you know that. It ain't about me saying I don't mess with Muslim people because they don't know Christ. They know Christ as well as they know to love their neighbor and love people who don't think or don't pray like them. If they understand that, they know all they need to know. If they follow that, then he's going to be at the gate to shake their hand. It don't require that they stay outside as a good man because they didn't know a religious practice. That's not real. If that was the essence of Jesus Christ, none of us getting into heaven, if you really consider it. If that was the essence of what keeps us alive amongst one another, we would all be dead already. The only way into heaven is through Jesus Christ. Well, guess what, Christian friends? He's at the gate. You ain't getting through there until you meet him any dang way. Where you think he at? Last night, I meditated on something that aligns with exactly what I'm saying. For all of us who believe in God, whether we believe him in this religion, that religion, or the other religion, if you're following a God that wants to see people survive and be at peace with one another and love one another and sacrifice for one another, there's two places you're going to always be able to find God: where you are and where you want to be. Those are the words that came to me last night. God is in two places for certain: where you are and where you want to be, at the finish line. So it's to say, if you follow what's next to you, it's going to lead you to the finish line where he also is. That's what came to me last night as I was meditating on stuff. He's right next to you, and he's where you're going, where you hope to be, where you're striving to go. There, waiting on you to get there so he can celebrate you. And you can celebrate him in unselfishness. Think of it like a magnet. You attach yourself to God, he then draws you straight to where you're trying to go, straight to the finish line. Heaven, your greatest space of mind, whatever your aspirations are, you attach the living God, he's going to be at the finish line. And he's going to get you there too, because he's right next to you. He's holding, he's carrying you. See the essence of a magnet in that regard? If it's attached to you and it's also where you're going, it's going to draw you to where you're going. It's the perfect way to get there. That relationship between you and the goodness in your heart is going to get you there, where Jesus actually is, ready to shake your hand whether you knew him or not. That's the secret about all of this. It don't require you understand things. Because if it did, there are people out there who can't even think. They got people who are so mentally disabled that they don't even have clear thoughts in their head. How do they get to heaven? They ain't gonna be praising Christ. They don't even know nothing. They can't even get out of bed. But apparently they're supposed to understand how the concept of something specific so that they can get to the heaven they deserve to be in as innocent entities. You think God gonna leave them outside because they didn't know Christ? Like these are the type of things I need Christians to really think about, man. Because we're so self-absorbed as it pertains to what I am versus what the world should be able to do, that we don't understand a lot of stuff. It doesn't even equate when you start breaking down the specifics of individuals. That person can't know Christ. They don't even know how to say their own name. And they never did nothing to nobody. So why would they be left outside for not knowing him? Make it make sense. You can't. It's not about knowing the entity that is Christ. It's about having the goodness in your heart that is drawn to him anyway. By way of that goodness, you attach to him. And by way of being attached to him, when you get to the end, whether you followed him or didn't follow him, you're going to meet him right then and there. He's going to know you as well as anything that you've ever known. And you're going to know him as well as anything you've ever known. Because at the end of the day, a relationship with Christ doesn't require time spent like a human being's relationship. It takes all of a split second for him to instill everything about him into you. And he don't have to learn nothing about you. Don't let people who perceive the world through the eyes of man and the limitations of man tell you that you can't have a relationship with Christ just because you didn't learn about him in the world you were in. If you follow the goodness that he most represented, he's already in your heart. You ain't got to do nothing else. Take that from someone who knows him. Knows him. There's a lot of people running around in this world today alive. They are Christians, but they don't know Christ. And that's why they keep on telling people that they have to do something or be something or strive towards something or stay away from something in order to get a relationship with Christ. It don't even require all of that. You can do all of those things the right way and still not know him, because these people, they think it's about something other than just being a good person. We're all limiting our understanding from our positions in life. There's always something that you could know that can make it so that you're doing better. You ain't never going to be perfect in any way, shape, or form. So striving for perfection in the presence of perfection disrespects that perfection in its understanding of what he created. He never thought you were going to be perfect. So why would he need you to be in order to accept you? I tell you, the vision that the Lord put in my heart, and I've said this more than once on this camera, the vision that the Lord put on my heart is this. When it comes to the Muslim people specifically, Islam specifically, my responsibility is to guard over them while they pray. Their responsibility is to guard over me while I pray. If we're not doing that, we're doing it wrong. And the enemy wants us to do it wrong. That's why he always tries to pin us against one another. It's not about proving one another right or wrong. It's not about me trying to incorporate myself into their practices or them incorporating themselves into mine. If I'm a friend to them, then I'm going to introduce them to Jesus Christ. If they're a friend to me, they're going to introduce me to the Prophet Muhammad. It's not going to be a situation where we're going to let either of us not be held whole in the afterlife. If we're truly friends and we truly know the living God, we're going to introduce one another to each other's loved ones. And we're going to break bread together. This is what I know. It's not what I think. This is what's been shown to me. And this is how he wanted us to be the whole time when we had differences in regards to how we pray. We always stand in solidarity and respect to one another. We don't move the same way. But you best believe when it comes down to it, we're faced with the same enemy who's trying to incorporate confusion into our hearts the exact same way. And most importantly, separation from within us to divide us and conquer us the same way. It's not about getting it right. It's about being a good human being and letting that light shine on one another who are different than you. It's not about being angry at the people that we believe God is angry with. It's about accepting the fact that he's likely angry at most of us for things that we shouldn't have done. It's not my place to judge you just because you're doing something I know God don't like. Because what you don't know is I probably did something he didn't like as well. And by this judgment that we have in each other's heart, we're probably both throwing each other in hell. When that ain't God's intention at all. His intention is to get a relationship with us, condition us in a way that allows us to be good examples toward one another, and then from there welcome us into his heart, into his home forever. Where true paradise, true loyalty, true love, true energy is found. Whether you black, white, green, yellow, or brown. Now y'all can write that in a book. Study that for the next 2,000 years and swear by that if you want. Video 44, I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.